Hello, I'm Fran, and this is a review for Pinstripe on the PlayStation 4. In recent years, games developed by independent studios have been some of the most rewarding and beautiful gaming experiences. We've seen the likes of Inside, Cuphead, Stardew Valley and Firewatch to name a few, do incredibly well, not just critically but in sales too. The independent world of video games is thriving and it's not going to stop. So when I heard Pinstripe was being released on consoles, I personally got extremely excited to finally play this in front of my TV. So was it worth it? Pinstripe was originally released on Steam for the PC and Mac after nearly 4,000 people backed it on Kickstarter, raising over $106,000 to get it off the ground. Over the course of 5 years, Thomas Brush single-handedly developed the game, in which he spent every free minute creating the handcrafted world. A world that will take you on an adventure through hell. A beautiful looking hell. The player takes control of Ted, an ex-minister who must travel through mysterious and odd places in search of his missing daughter Bo, who's been captured by a strange entity. As Ted, your abilities are limited, however, this doesn't restrict the experience in any way. You must use your knowledge of each area, clues you pick up on the way, and conversations with non-playable characters to progress through the levels. You won't find any cutscenes in the game. Everything is illustrated through in-game content. Cutscenes could have given extra content to the game and could have padded out the storyline. There were a few parts of the game that I was left with unanswered questions, so knowing those elements would have fleshed out the story for me. Having said that, this is a really nice 2D side-scrolling puzzle platformer, and you'll find a lot of comparisons to other independent games such as Limbo, Ori and the Blind Forest and Braid. If you love those games, you'll want to play Pinstripe. For me, the gameplay had highs and lows. For the most part, I did enjoy the puzzles and platforming. However, 90% of the puzzles were on the easy side. There were parts of the game that had you running around from level to level collecting frozen drops, which did bring you out of the game a little. This 10% of the game was frustrating and had me scratching my head at how to progress to the next part of the game. I noticed a lot of repetition with the puzzle platforms, maybe only 4 or 5 varieties in puzzles that were repeated throughout the game. This got a little tiring at times, but it never forced me to end the game and quit. You also only have 2 abilities or skills in the game, using a slingshot and a headlamp. Not the most adventurous of equipment. Aiming did prove to be a little sensitive at first, but this is something you'll have to get used to as you progress through the game. You also have a companion that follows you throughout the game, your dog Georgie. He's a talking companion that narrates and communicates with Ted along the way. For me, the game could have been packed with an additional playable character that could reach other areas and secrets, similar to other games that allow you to switch between characters who have different skills. Georgie would have been ideal here, switching him to dig into caves or small spaces to grab clues or help Ted progress to the next level. This could have added more layers of enjoyment for me and enhanced the gameplay. The player explores 6 gorgeous levels, and platforming was nice, but nothing new or too thrilling. Jumping is pretty much all you'll experience here. Throughout these levels you'll also encounter a couple of beasts. For me, this was a little disappointing. I was expecting a plethora of creatures and monsters to walk the hell that was described, so that was unfortunate. I find the final boss to be incredibly underwhelming, much like the challenge in the game. It all feels too easy. Maybe this was the idea of the game, to be more of a narrative and artistic experience rather than focused on the content. If this was the case, it's a beautiful experience, and artistically speaking, it's one of the strongest in recent years. The strength of the game is the visual art style. The hand-drawn characters, levels and backdrops are sensational. This is where the game really prevails. The game moves from various different locations, all beautifully drawn, from snowy ranges to sunset vistas and gloomy caves to rolling golden fields. I constantly found myself just sitting back and looking in detail at every aspect of the art, from the particles in the foreground to the back pieces in the distance. This is probably where a lot of my hours were spent during my time with the game. Pinstripe is layered with an elegant and charming soundtrack full of dark, eerie and haunting tones throughout. The gorgeous piano soundscapes completely heighten the hellish nature of the game. It was a treat to listen to the incredible orchestrated music and take in the beautiful hand-drawn art. Once your first playthrough has been complete, you can replay the game on the Adventure Plus mode. This allows you to enter secret areas that were previously locked and collect extra frozen drops so that you can purchase special items to unlock your trophies and achievements alike. My personal favourite is the Tommy gun, which sells for a whopping 1,000 frozen drops. There's also an achievement for completing the game in under an hour, which brings me to my next point, value for money. According to howlongtobeat.com, it takes the average of 2 to 3 hours to beat. However, during my experience with the game, I played it for a steady 5 hours. I couldn't help but take in the breathtaking art style and animations. I also loved collecting and experiencing everything I could, so I spent a little more time on it than the average gamer. But I loved it that much I didn't want it to end. I could have played another few hours. I would have liked to have seen the story extended a little more, with more puzzles and more challenges along the way, and spoiler, maybe even a backstory about Bo's mother would have been a really interesting addition to the storyline. So, my overall thoughts. Despite some of the noticeable flaws with the game, I thoroughly enjoyed my time with Pinstripe. The visual style and musical direction had me hooked from the beginning, and this carried the game for me. I would have loved a longer game with gradual progression in challenge and a more developed narrative. However, I'm hoping the next game from Thomas Brush will use the critiques as an opportunity to create a flawless game for his next entry, Once Upon a Coma. I definitely recommend you give this game a try, either through Steam, Xbox One or PlayStation 4. Visually alone, this should give you a wonderfully positive experience. Thanks for watching my review of Pinstripe for the PlayStation 4. I hope you'll enjoy my future content, so be sure to like the video and subscribe. Thanks again, my name's Fran, take care.